Okay, you guys, I went to check my P.O. box and I got something from Australia. So let me go ahead and open it. It's probably from Guy Jackman, Hugh Jackman's, I think his nephew or something. I love you to the Moonsico and back. Isn't that cute? Okay. To dearest Empress President Gail, sending divine devotion and eternal eroticism across sensual, shimmering seas towards your furry, forbidden abyss of true love. Thank you for saving us yet again from Laurie's evil clutches with your beautiful and stunningly sexy rendition of Time After Time. I sent them a video of me nude singing Time After Time, but it was mainly for Brent Spiner, but I wanted them all to watch it because the Jesuit space fleet is powered by semen. That's its fuel, and they were getting low on semen, so I was trying to help them make more semen to fuel the space fleet. Happy Valentine's Day now and forever from Guy and Uncle Hugh Jackman with much love, kisses, and hugs. That is very nice. Thank you, Guy, and thank you, Hugh. Okay, now here's a bummer for some people, but I have canceled my marriage list. The reason I've done that is because it's not who I am. Uh, Zach Knight and I got in a really big fight almost a week ago because he misunderstood something I said and thought I was telling him that his wife, Rule 13, was having sex with Hitler. And he set a trap to try to harm Hitler. And I thought, no, Zach, I wasn't telling you that 13. I was asking you a question. And I said, I can't believe you said a trap. I said, stop it to save Hitler. Don't do this to Hitler. And then Zach said, oh, fuck. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to have to go anyways. Then he got mad at me. Then I said, why did you do this? He came back and said, it's too late. Hitler got damaged. Hitler ended up going in a coma. And we got in a big fight because I said, you shouldn't have done this to Hitler. Why didn't you go ask Rule 13 whether she was having sex with Hitler? And he said, well, I thought you told me that. And I said, no, I thought you told me she was having sex with her. So we got all hyped up. And I even started lightning bolting him because I said, where's Brent? Where's Brent? Have you done something to Brent? Because he was reverting back to his old Antichrist behavior, I thought. But Jesus put a shield over him and protected the bolts from hitting him. And he said, well, Gail, you're not as perfect as you think you are. He said, you're on a power trip more than you acknowledge. And he said, admit it. You enjoy having sex with all these famous and hot guys. And I said, you believe that about me? I thought, no, that isn't true. And he said, yeah, maybe some of what Tulsi Gabbard and Lori McBride are saying about you is true, and it really stings, doesn't it? And I go, huh? I said, you really believe that? I said, you're talking like a sociopath. And I mean, we really got at it with each other. And I said, I want Brent here right now. I said, I want Brent. I want to know what's going on. And he said, Brent is in therapy for 4 hours because you ordered them all to go to PTSD therapy, and he's not coming, and I'm not going to let him in until he's out. And then I found out later that if he had left the therapy, he could have died. It was very intense. He's not suffering from PTSD. So, long story short, we did patch up by the evening, and Jesus showed up and said, everybody needs to calm down. He said, everyone needs to calm down. And that one good thing came out of all this. He said, he was trying to get me to be upfront with him. He said, you need to quit playing games, Gail. Admit that you like polygamy and quit acting like you're so morally perfect and like everything you do is your motives are pure as the driven snow. And I said, but Zach, I always try to be myself. I'm not trying to come across morally perfect. And he said, yeah. He said, admit that you like. He said, yeah, admit it. Like, he said, sometimes I think you actually like being raped by me. And I said, Zach, have you been listening to my videos? He said, I've been worried to death about you because I thought that 13 was unfaithful to you and I knew how that would affect you. And he goes, no, I'm not listening to your videos. You talk to me right now and be straight with me. And, I said, you got me all wrong. Anyways, to make a long story short, he felt that wow, that's funny. It says moonsicle on the card. Isn't that cute? It's actually called moonsicle. He felt that I was this game player and that I really enjoyed having sex with all these hot and powerful men. And I said, where's Brent? I said, and then he goes, well, Brent's in therapy. And I said, Brent would never talk to me like the way you do. Brent, and he said, I'll start talking to you when you act like a grown up and you admit that you're not perfect and you get straight with me. And he said, and you're the one who told me that 13 was having sex with Hitler. Just admit it, Gail. And I said, I thought I asked you a question, not a statement. So I finally, and then I said, where's Brent? I said, well, Brent, he said, well, I said, if we can talk like grown-ups, he said, then I'll talk to you. I said, well, that's what I could say for you. I said, all the stuff you're saying about me is out in left field. It isn't true at all. And he said, Gail, I want you to be straight with me. And I said, well, Brent and I never have fights like this, Zach. And he said, well, that's because he's a bit of a cuck. I said, what? You're calling my Brent a cuck? Where's Brent? And he says, yeah, Gail, he feels exactly like what I said. He's not comfortable with the marriage list. He just puts up with it because he thinks you're a woman with voracious sexual appetite, and he really doesn't like it. And I said, that's not what he's told me. He says, well, that's how he really feels, Gail. And I said, really? I said, well, he's never said that to me. He goes, well, he says it's because he's a bit of a cuck. And I said, he's 100 times better man than you. Where's Brett? Are you holding him hostage? He says, why do you think I have evil intentions, Gail? I said, because you're acting like a sociopath. I can't believe you're saying all the stuff that Laurie McBride's been saying and Tulsi Gabbard. And he goes, well, maybe because some of what they said is the truth and it stings and you're not willing to admit it. I said, no, it's totally left field. It's not me. And then finally, I started lightning bolting him. I said, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And if Brent doesn't show up, I'm going to start lightning bolting you. And I started bolting him. And because I have lightning bolt powers on the Antichrist, and he told me, I got back on Skype with him, and I said, "Are you okay?" Because he said, "Did you just bolt me?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Well, Jesus put a shield over me, and the bolts went over the shield." And I said, "Well, that means there's still hope for you, Zach." And he kind of got real quiet. And I said, the reason I was upset about Hitler is because I thought you would talk with 13 first before you would assume that Hitler was unfaithful. And I said, I can't believe that you were willing to risk the security of the nation just to take out Hitler because you thought Hitler was having sex with 13. He goes, well, Gail, he said, if Brent was having, if you had to save Brent, wouldn't you Sarah Cocky the whole world to save him? And I said, I know this may come as a surprise to you, Zach, but I probably wouldn't. As much as I love you and Brent, I said I love Jesus more. And I probably would not, if I had to choose between saving the world and saving Brent, I would save the world. Simply because I love Jesus more, and Jesus wouldn't like me killing innocent people just to save my love. And then he kind of got quiet after that. And then and I told him, Brent came on later, and then it was getting late, and Jesus usually wants me in bed by 9 o'clock. And Zach said, Gail, he said, I feel kind of bad over some of the things I said to you. I was just kind of really upset. He said, but Brent is on right now, and I think Jesus would be cool with you staying up a little bit later past your normal bedtime to deal with this with Brent. So I got on with Brent, and I asked Brent, is it true that you're uncomfortable about them? First of all, Brent said, what's going on? And I said, well, Zach and I had a big fight because I was very upset about him hurting Hitler. He actually put Hitler into a coma. What happened with Hitler is he woke up the other day, and Zach went over to apologize, and he told him that he thought Hitler was having an affair with his wife, and that's why he did that. And then Hitler said, if I thought somebody was messing with my Eva, I would have done worse to you than what you did to me. I thought, wow, he's pretty tough. And then Zach said, yeah, he's a real badass. So Hitler's going to be okay. But I told Zach, if I felt that And then I remember Zach saying, well, you're going to execute me now, Gail, because I'm saying this to you. Or you can just like Brent thinks you're going to execute him if he has an affair with another woman. And I said, where are you getting this from? He said, it's like, it's okay for you to have a marriage list, but if he wants to go have some fling on the side, you're going to kill him. And I said, no, you don't know me at all. So, and I went to Brent and I asked him, he said, Gail, if I had read what you wrote to Zach, I too would have thought that 13 was having an affair with Hitler. It's not a clearly worded question. It sounds like you made a statement. I thought, really? I read it over, and what happened was I did ask him a question. I said, is Rule 13 having sex with Hitler? And then I kind of went off in my imagination, and I'm a brainstormer, and I started throwing out little theories and possibilities, and Zach misunderstood that for a statement. Brent said, what you should have done is just ask 2 simple questions. Is everything okay between you and Rule 13? And is Rule 13 having sex with Hitler? And then they just dropped it after that. He said the fact that you elaborated and went on and on and on, he misunderstood what you said to be a statement rather than a question. I started speculating what it must be like if she was having sex with Hitler and how he should deal with it and all this. And that's why he thought I was making a statement instead of a question, because I was worried about him. So Brent said, I think Zach just wants you to be straight with him. That's all, Gail. So if you'll just apologize to him, he said he's a straight shooter, and I respect that about him, and he's a genuine friend, and you should patch things up with him and just admit that you did wrong, that you made a statement instead of a question, and then things should be okay. So that's what I did, and we patched things up. And then I asked him, how do you feel about the marriage list? Zach said you're uncomfortable about it. And then Brent said, actually, he said, I'm a one-woman man, and I will admit that the marriage list does hurt my feelings. I thought, really? And I thought about it, and I said, you know what, Brent? But he said, if you really have a need to have sex with more than one man, maybe because you've got a very strong sex drive, I'm okay with it. He said, I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled. And I said, Brent, to be honest with you, you're the only one that I really want to have it with right now. I make love to the others brain to brain more because I feel obligated to. Because 95% of my brain to brain loving is Brent Spiner. That should tell you something. I mean, I have the option to make love to the others anytime I want, but it's usually Brent Spiner. And I said, why didn't you tell me this is how you felt? He said, because I thought that you were bored of me and I wanted you to be happy. I went to bed that night and I cried all night. And he said, I was afraid you would execute me, like if I wanted to have sex with another woman. I went to bed that night and cried all night. I said, I can't believe he thinks this way about me. I don't even want the marriage list. I've said it many times, but apparently it went one in 1 year and out the other. And then I figured out why I have the real reason why I have the marriage list. It's because I have this deep insecurity that any man who lives with me will leave. It goes way back to my childhood. I've been going really deep with this with my Patreon supporters, working all this out. And the Lord's been helping me get rid of clutter, like I'm cleaning up my place and everything. And these are the earrings Brent got me. Aren't they beautiful? So, yeah. Oh, by the way, since I've been following Jesus's dietary guidelines, I am down to about 127 pounds or something. Let me get this a little higher. So this is an exercise out my friend Susan got for me. So I'm about 125, 126, somewhere in that range. But apparently all that comfort eating I was doing had me put on about an extra 15 pounds. So here's where I'm at right now. Yeah, this is where I'm at right now. But this is for Brent. So, yeah. This is where I'm at. 63 years old. I'm actually kind of subconscious about this suntan here. I think that looks ugly, but that's what happens to me when I go out and do walks, the Gail commandments. Let me get back to my subject here. So I was crying all night. I said, I can't believe he thinks that I would execute him. The only way I would execute Brent if he had an affair with another woman is if I felt we were dealing with a clone. So finally, I went back and reread a transcript where Jesus showed up and he used Zach as the transcriber. And Jesus said, I asked Jesus, why do I have all this clutter in my apartment? Jesus said, it's because you have a fear of losing things, Gail. It goes back to your childhood where my mother always threatened to kick me out on the streets. She said I was too much trouble, that I was a pain to raise, that I was a bad girl. She always threatened to kick me out on the street. And I always felt insecure. I wasn't really loved and accepted for who I was. I was constantly berated, criticized, neglected. And it just got to the point where I like I said, I go really in depth about this in with my Patreon supporters. And finally, the Lord showed me that the reason I have the marriage list is as a form of security. Like if Brent dumps me, then the next one on the list might take me. And then if he dumps me, then the next one on the list might take me. And he said, this is a form of clutter in your life, Gail. Just like you don't want to throw things away because you're afraid of losing things and you allow all this clutter in your apartment. He said, it's time to let the clutter go, let go of the marriage list and just make it between you and Brent because he's the one. He's your true soulmate and the one you really want. And I admitted to Brent, I said, Brent, when I make love to the others on the marriage list, sometimes I fake orgasms and I just do it because I'm afraid if I don't play this game like I'm this hot seat woman who's a sexual firebomb, that I'm going to lose the men. And I'm not really myself. And then Brent admitted to me, he said, the woman I fell in love with back in, when I made the album Oh Yellow Eyes Is Back, you seemed like a woman who was a one-man woman and you wanted to totally devote yourself to being a wife to that one man and keep yourself pure and on fire for just one man. And I said, Brent, that is the real me. That's who I am. So the woman that he sang to in that music album, Oh Yellow Eyes Is Back, that's the real me. He figured out who I was and he fell in love with me. I was married at the time, but I turned him down because I loved Jesus more than I loved Brent. And I felt it was wrong to be with him back then, but he really, he made himself very vulnerable to me when he called me on the phone and said he wanted to rape me and kiss my nipples and all that. And he fell in love with the real me. That's why he's still in my life even till today and why he gets 95% of the brain-to-brain loving. You may say, why did you go to the other men? Well, when I concluded that I wouldn't be able to get Brent, then I went to Vladimir Putin. And then when I concluded I wouldn't be able to get Vladimir, I went back to Brent because I figured at least Brent had the courage to talk to me on the phone. Vladimir wouldn't even do that. So I went back to Brent. But, you know, you might say, why all these famous men? Why not just get a real man in your neighborhood and go with him? I think it stems from several things. First of all, I've always felt that any real man in my neighborhood that I could bond with, I've always felt that once a man lives with me, they'll fall out of love with me. I figure they have this fantasy woman in their mind, and once they get to know the real me, they will lose interest. And that's why I had the marriage list. Very insecure about keeping my men. And finally, I said, I know which man I really want. It's Brent Spiner. And when Jesus suggested, he said, Brent and I would not have any problem with you having sex with a man in your neighborhood if you have and it wouldn't mess up my plans with you, Gail. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want Brent. And then Jesus said, yes, I know. But I just want to let you know, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Neither would Brent. I said, no, I don't want that. You say, why do you think Jesus told you that? I think he was trying to prove to Brent who I am. Brent has this, and Zach, had this false perception of me as this sexual firebomb woman. And finally I said, Brent, that woman that you thought I was back in the early 1990s, that is who I am. That's the real me. And what happened is we kind of drifted away from being real with each other, and the passion was, I mean, I still loved him and I've always been comfortable with him, but it caused the fire that was originally there in the early 1990s to die down a bit. Sex is a lot more exciting when you're real with your partner. And when we quit being real with each other, it isn't that I got bored of him, but we just weren't real with each other. There is nothing more sexually exciting than to be real and vulnerable. He made himself vulnerable to me in the early 1990s, the things he said to me on the phone. And that really turned me on. And I always noticed he was very subdued whenever he communicated with me through Skype. And I figured that's just the way he is. He's just a quiet, subdued man. I realized now he was holding back. So anyways, the Lord seemed to tell me, I think it's time for the marriage list to go, Gail. That's not the real you. You've only held on to it because you feel insecure about a man, and you and Brent both want the same thing, a monogamous relationship. So I thought, but Brent, what would I do about the men on the marriage list? They adore me. And he said, I think they're going to take it better than you think, Gail. And he said, Vladimir's a tough dude. I said, yeah, he almost committed suicide when I dumped him to go back to you. But I finally decided that it's not worth it to hurt Brent. You know why Brent was puking so much when Laurie McBride sent him that missive saying he was a cuck, that I was just using him, and that whenever I got bored of him, I would go to a man that I found more exciting than him. It's because he really believed that was the truth. He admitted it to me. And I said, Brent, the real reason I have the marriage list is because I'm an insecure little girl, always afraid I'm going to lose the man. And I put on a performance and pretend to be somebody that I'm not in order to keep the man. So I've been playing sexual firebomb. And that's not really who I am. I'm just a down-home, humble little girl who just wants to go off in a cottage somewhere and make love to my dream man all day long. You say, well, then why are you the president? Actually, I wanted to delegate my job to Tulsi Gabbard, and I was forced to take the reins of the presidency because she betrayed me. And I couldn't let her run the country. It would have been disastrous. So if you want to know more details about who I really am and the evolution into being the more real me, go join my Patreon, especially the $10 and up tiers, where I make daily blog videos. I have canceled the marriage list. The men are a little sad, but they're taking it well. And I've suggested to Brent, I said, why doesn't Jesus make a room at Church of Gail where my millennial form, from what I understand in my millennial, during the 1,000-year reign, Jesus did say that I will be making love to Brent Spiner. He's going to officiate the marriage between me and Brent in the millennium and be giving me his semen as a wedding present. But he said, you will be free to make love to the other men on your marriage list as well. I said, Brent, I don't think you'd have a problem with my millennial form. I said, ask Jesus to make a special room at Church of Gail where my millennial form, and she's going to be I'm going to be a total knockout. I'll be in a very young body, not this 63-year-old body with gray hair, and a total knockout. And they can go to that room to have a relationship with the millennial form. And they all have my vagina in their butts. So I think that's a form of an engagement ring for the relationship they're going to have with me in the millennium. So yes, I've canceled the marriage list, and they're all free to have other women in their lives. That's what I told them. I said, you're free to go if you want. Most of them seem to want to stay, but I'm perfectly comfortable with them going off with another woman if they want to. I thought they always understood that. I'm really, I guess I should have communicated with them better. But they don't seem to want to go. But if they want to, they certainly are not going to be executed. Unless they turn evil. I only execute people when I think they're fully evil, not because they bruise my ego or make me feel or hurt my feelings. When I think they're fully evil, that's when I execute people. Certainly wouldn't execute them because they prefer another woman over me, especially if it's another good woman, you know. I mean, if they were going off with an evil woman and they were working together as a team, like Tulsi Gabbard tried to do, to try to take over the world for Satan, yeah, out they go. But as long as they're true to Jesus, and as long as they don't behave in a manner which I would consider evil, I mean, I believe in freedom and love. Like I told Zach and Brent, I said, I believe in freedom and love. I believe that when you love someone, you set them free. If they're truly yours and you let them go and they don't come back, then they never were yours in the first place. But if they're truly yours, they will come back. So that's my philosophy. And I told both, oh, my nose is itching. I actually had Brent listen to that song. I'm coming home, I've done my time, and I got to know what is and isn't mine. If you receive my letter telling you I'd soon be free, then you know just what to do if you still want me. If you still want me. Oh, tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years. Do you still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll get on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me. So tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. I said, Brent, every time you get the crazy idea that I'd execute you because you went off with another woman, because you wanted her instead of me, I want you to listen to that song, because that's how I really feel about you. You might say, do you think he's going to go off with another woman? Jesus said he was my soulmate, so probably not. I mean, he's already done that to me. He should know that I wouldn't execute him. He did that to me with Laurie McBride, sort of. I mean, when I found out about Laurie McBride, I was devastated, but I didn't want to kill him. I kept him as my friend. I was just confused. I mean, I would probably react to him the same way I reacted when I found out about Laurie McBride in 1996. I'd be confused. I would probably end up losing romantic feelings for him. I actually lost romantic feelings for him from 1996 to 1999 when I found out about Laurie McBride. My relationship with Brent started in 1990 and 91. I was listening to his music album, Old Yellow Eyes Is Back, every day from 1991 to 1996, every day. I was crazy about it. When I found out about Laurie McBride, I thought my world ended. I was very confused until Jesus told me in a still small voice that she's a Vatican agent. Brent should have known that. Unfortunately, Laurie McBride was like an atomic bomb in our relationship, and she really turned him into a mental basket case. So let me tell you what he was. I said, I want you to tell me what else you're insecure about, Brent. So you think I would execute you if you went off with another woman. What else are you insecure about? He said, well, my big nose, my big Jewish nose. He said, when I was growing up, kids always made fun of my big nose, and I feel like I don't, look that hot and stuff. Actually, I think his nose looks very distinctive. I think it makes him look like a classic man. And then he said, well, because I'm getting old and wrinkly and ugly. And I said, nah, I think you're gorgeous. He said, well, like compared to, I said, think about this. I've got Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Jackman. I got these hunks on my marriage list, and yet you get most of the brain-to-brain loving? I said, I love your vast, deep soul. You're just like Jesus. I said, and your mind is so brilliant. And, You're such a humanitarian. And you forget, Brent, that my idol when I was a young lady was missionary Hudson Taylor, who was a Christian doctor and missionary. And he goes, oh, I guess I'm really silly to feel that way. Yes, I said, you're super silly. I said, what else, Brent? And he said, well, he said, my career. I feel like I was only good for Data in Star Trek The Next Generation, and that I'm just this used up celebrity, and that I'm not really good for anything else, and that the other men far outshine me, and that I'm just not good enough for you. I said, what? I said, that isn't how I see you. I said, I so admire the fact that you give so freely of your time as a doctor to minister to people. You're a big humanitarian, totally unselfish. I see you as my hero missionary doctor, my brilliant theologian. He's studying at Dallas Theological Seminary. I said, you're so deep and vast. You remind me of Jesus. Jesus is like my dream man. And he said, oh, it's just, and I said, he said, I guess I really am being silly. I said, yeah. I said, I mentioned the name of a theologian that I think is kind of sexy. I'm not going to mention his name here, but I did to my Patreons, to Brent. And I said, you see, he's overweight, but he has a brilliant theological mind. And I said, I think he's kind of sexy, Brent. And he goes, wow, I guess I am being kind of silly to believe that. I said, yeah. You know, to be honest with you, I've never really been into muscles in a man. Even in my 20s, they don't really impress me that much. What I look for in a man is a masculine mind and heart. You say, well, Jesus has six-pack abs and you think he's your dream man. Yeah, but it's not his six-pack abs that impress me about Jesus. I think he just has six-pack abs so we can reach the group of people out there that are impressed by that, and to show that he's cool with people that are impressed by that. But what I admire about Jesus and find attractive in Jesus is his depth, his vastness, his love, and the intensity and passion of his feelings. And Brent has all that. That is my dream man. So we had to clear up a lot of misunderstandings. And I asked, and I think the reason he didn't do a scan to determine what my real feelings were for him is he was afraid the other men on the marriage list would find out about it and be offended that he didn't want the marriage list. So he's been playing this game. I've been playing this game like I like the marriage list when I really don't. I'm uncomfortable with it. And he's been playing this game like he likes the marriage list when he really doesn't. And what's really funny is we both want the same thing, and we've just been playing games with each other. I don't want the marriage list, and he doesn't want it either. Everybody thinks that I want the marriage list. I don't. I'm a one-man woman, one man at a time. That's why Brent Spiner's been getting 95% of the brain to brain. But I've been feeling kind of guilty, like I've been leading on the men on the marriage list. So I'm hoping that Jesus will have that special room. And I told them, I'm still going to call you Gail's men, but think of it more as Gail's men as a part of my army and not my lovers anymore. But I will be making love to them in my millennial form. Jesus said so. So they're engaged to me for the millennial reign, but they're certainly free to pursue other women in the meantime. That's how I feel. So thank you, Hugh and Guy, for this. I'm certainly not offended if another guy wants to masturbate to me all day. I mean, I don't care. Just like Jesus doesn't care that I find him sexually attractive. But I respect Jesus' wishes that he wants to make love to his bride, the church, and not me. Though I'm part of his bride, the church, too, and he's going to be giving me his semen, so it's kind of complicated. So it's kind of like, yeah. So they can stick around, and they're part of my team, but I no longer want them to consider themselves on my marriage list anymore. So if you want to go more in depth about how I feel about this, go to my Patreon. And I've been talking about all this in depth with my Patreon supporters. By the way, Brent and I, now that we're getting more real with each other, the brain to brain loving has been super hot. Here's my cork board. I added that new card there. Thank you so much, Hugh Jackman and Guy. And Hugh and Guy, I sure hope that Jesus will give you that special room where you can make love to my millennial form, which I understand is super hot. I think I look like the Miss Universe of the Miss Universe or something. Anyways, um, you will be making love to me in the millennial reign, Hugh Jackman. So, Jesus, or I'm pretty sure of that. So, and Jesus gave you all the vagina butts maybe for that reason. So there's the cork board. Thank you for the card.